Subscribe for my channel Amol Ujagare and hit the bell icon for latest update.
So yes, so here it is. Right. By the way, I just had an idea. Yesterday we have seen such a long code to actually select the date from a date picker. Okay. So by the way, we can have one shorter way as well, right? Yesterday also I talk about it, but today I'll just going to demonstrate you about that. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll just create a separate program and I'll work on this, right? So sometimes what happens is that yesterday also we had a certain conversation that can we just type into it. So sometimes some text boxes are actually editable, we can type, but here you can see I'm pressing the keys but I'm not able to write anything into it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open this web page and I'm going to set certain date which I'm supposed to have. Let's suppose but prior to that I must know what is the format that is going to be here when I am going to set the date. So here I can see the format is MMDDYYYY. Okay, so month, date and year. So this is the format that you should have in your mind, and that's it. Just a two-line code, believe me, just a two-line code I'm going to present you, and that will help you to select a date. So let's write a code here. So what I'll do is I'll just create a simple program here in the utilities. So let's say date selection demo. Okay, so date selection demo, and here what I'll do is uh, let's create a normal test. So at the rate test, then public void my test. So I'm just going to write a normal test irrespective of my page object model. Okay, so let me open a browser. So WebDriver manager dot Chrome driver dot setup, then WebDriver driver is equal to new Chrome driver, then driver dot manage dot window dot maximize. Here there is one more thing we are going to learn, that is switching to the windows. Okay, so here it is, and now next is I want to open this website. So get driver dot get, and this is the URL. Okay, so this is the URL. So let me just check whether this code works or not. So right click and run. Yeah, so jQuery date picker, so the site is getting opened. That's okay. Now the next thing is that soon it will get open. By the way, which network I'm using? It's Amol's Wi-Fi. Okay, so let me try with the another network, or let it be. Fine. So my next job is to click on this date picker so that I will have this pop up in front of me, and I can do the several things. But now in this case, I'm not going to click here. I just need to have the access of this, but just to ensure that whether I am able to reach to this text box, what I'll do is I'll find this element and click on it. Okay, but clicking is not needed actually in this case, but you'll just understand it. So here ID is date picker. Okay, so ID is equal to date picker. So what I will try to do is, so driver dot find element by dot ID, and this is the ID dot click. Okay, because certain thing is actually going to uh, make some problem, and that I just want to demonstrate you. So here, just after opening the browser and the URL, we are supposed to click on the text box of the date picker, right? So the browser is opened and the website is opened, but the click operation is not happened, and here it's certain error. It says that no such element. right? So there is an exception, no such element. So the date picker, the element having the ID with the date picker is not there, which is actually there, but still there is an error. Why this is error? Because there is one new thing I'm just going to introduce you, right? So here for this particular page, there is an iframe present, right? So an element called iframe. Okay, so let me just, so if you have an element iframe element, or rather say tag iframe, okay, so so this is actually another frame, or sometimes window, or quite like a window, quite like a window, right? And if it is another window where I am where I am not in that window I am not in, so I can't I can't access the web elements inside it. Okay, so I cannot access the web elements inside it. So just have a look here, right click and inspect. So I'll try to search. So frames can be in any form, like a form also a frame, but I'll just try to find the specific. So I can see here there is an iframe here. So there are several iframes. Okay, there is only one iframe. So let me just see. So here you see in the page area, the web page area, you can see the blue colored highlighting is happening here. Okay, so yes. So by the way, the screen is stuck or what? Are you able to see the screen properly? In my mobile, I guess I can see the screen is quite stuck. What is there in front of your screen? Yes, Abhishek. Are you able to see the jQuery page, web page? Let me just restart my another window. I guess you might be able to see, but yeah. So it is refreshed, right? So now here I can see the iframe is here. Okay, so iframe is here. So this box is actually a frame, and inside this frame, if I expand this, uh, there is a document again. I can expand it, and there is a small again HTML page inside, and inside this body, you can observe the date picker is here. Okay, so inside this div, look at this. So UI date picker. This is the input type tag. Okay, so ultimately what I want to say is that, so this date picker, the element or the web element having ID as date picker is inside the iframe, right? And as I said, if it is in another window where I am not in, so I cannot access the element inside it. To access to access to access the element inside the another frame, to access the element inside the another frame, I must switch to that frame. Okay, I must switch to that frame. So how to switch? So how to switch? Like this. So driver dot switch to dot frame, right? And here you can pass pass a parameter like frame id web elements. There are several options. We'll just see this. So what I'll do is I'll use this code driver dot switch to frame. Here it is. So before I find this web element, I'll switch here. So driver dot switch to frame, and here you can see index is there, then name, frame name is there, or id is there, or web element is there, right? So there are three options: either index, name, or id. So better I'll choose the web element, or name or id. Also I can see. So whether do I have name or id? So I don't have name and id, but I have let me find the XPath of it. Okay, so double slash iframe, so that is again enough. So that much is also enough. So what I'll do is I'll create a web element here. Okay, so web web element web element, let's say iframe is equal to driver dot find element by dot xpath. This is the xpath. Okay, and use this iframe as a web element, switch to frame, and frame is iframe. Okay, so in this way we will be switched to the frame, and then we will be able to click on this. Okay, so right click and run. Okay, is getting loaded. Yes, the click operation is done and there is no error here. So it means that we have actually successfully switched to the iframe, and ultimately we clicked on this date picker. So the further story is quite different, but okay, that's great. Now my job is up to this only. I don't want to click here. Okay, so ultimately what I'm going to do is I'm going to type into this disabled text box, right? But see, if you try to type here, let's say find element dot send keys, and what date you have, so let's say dd, then then y. Okay, so if I try to type here, right, or set that particular text box, let's see what happens. Yeah, actually it got typed, but this will not happen every time, right? For this actually, for this particular text box it work because this was not disabled. Sometimes it will be disabled. It's good if you if this is working, that's fine, but it will not work every time, right? In that case, what we are going to do is we are going to use a JavaScript executor. So to set a date picker, we will use JavaScript executor. Okay, so JavaScript executor. So what is JavaScript executor? Okay, so JavaScript executor is an interface defined in Selenium implementation. It has it actually helps us to execute the JavaScript code through Java program, right? So you don't have to learn JavaScript the whole way. It's good if you learn or if you have an idea of JavaScript. JavaScript, basically, let me tell you, talk about it in 2 to 3 sentences. So JavaScript is a client side language. Okay, so client side language. So and web based, right? So using JavaScript, you can do several operations on your web page. Using JavaScript, you can do several operations on your web page, like type, click, scroll, mm, whatever things you imagine that you can do manually, you can do everything through JavaScript. Okay, so out of which few of the script we are going to take, out of which type is this, right? So for typing, there is certain logic. For typing or setting a text box, we actually need to update an attribute, and this attribute is value. Okay, so value is an attribute that needs to be updated, right? If you set this attribute, let's say value, with some text, then that particular element, so either text box or text area, will be set with that particular text. Okay, so yes, so this is actually the things we do in JavaScript. And for JavaScript, this method is, so in JavaScript, this can be done with a method set attribute. Okay, so let me just show you how we can use this set attribute method in Selenium using JavaScript Executor. Okay, so let's look at this. Here it is. Uh, what I'll do is, let me just comment this, and I will use this web element, or I will keep this into certain web element. Let's say web element date picker, web element date picker is equal to this. Okay, let it be in this, right? Then JavaScript executor, okay, so this is actually from Selenium. If you just see here, the import org.openqa.selenium.javascript executor. So JS, as this is an interface, we cannot create an object using the new operator. So I will just assign a driver to it, and let's typecast it. Okay, so this is one thing. Now the function is JS dot execute script, and write a script, and it will be executed here. So whatever JavaScript you write here inside it, it will be executed, and it will work exactly the same way. Okay, so now let me show you how to use this set attribute method for set attribute method inside this JavaScript executor. So let's uh, put it into double quotes, right? And you have to write like this: arguments 0 dot set attribute. Okay, so set attribute s small a capital, and the attribute name is value. Okay, and value with what? Value with certain date, and the date is, let's say, 03 20 03, let's say 08 2020. Okay, so this is the date, and where to set this? At this wave element. Okay, so at this particular wave element. Fine, so let's try with this. So just a 2 lines or 3 lines code is this. So right click and run. So 3rd August 2020, it should set to 3rd August 2020. Let's just see whether it works or not. No internet connection. Just a second, I'm disconnected. I'll just reconnect. Yes. So right click and run. So I guess 3rd August. Quite a heavy side, I guess. Taking much time to load. So it is loaded, but nothing is getting set. Let me just check whether we have came across any error or not. Yes, there is an error. Java error is missing. Okay, missing the round bracket. Okay, round bracket is missing here. Right, so this is, we have started, but we have not ended this. So round bracket was missing here. Save this. Let me just close all the unwanted windows in just a moment. Let's right click and run. Yeah, so here it is. So date is set here, right? So in this way we can set the date using the set attribute method, right, which is JavaScript executor. Now you see, so this is a very small code, and just in case if you want this to be variable, so you can make this as, let's say, then plus plus, let's say, uh, my date, and you can have this as a variable, and you can assign the date here, and this will also work, right? Fine.